Because when we started Softa, even before we got a 10% market share, the minute we announced we are building a soft drink company, they already formed a paper to study us and to prevent us from entering the market. Preventing us from entering the market before we enter the market.
In your own country?
In my own country. Within 3 months, we were everywhere. We were everywhere. Before even they started forming people to break our bottles and do what they were, the other things they were doing, we were almost everywhere. We were producing 24 hours, non-stop. We were full capacity. I would sell 150 cases of Softa. And the multinational would come and tell them, we are buying it from you. All lot, it belongs to us. We pay you cash and we give
us.
No. We pay you cash for it, keep it under the shelf.
Don't sell it.
And then we supply you equivalent of our product. And you sell our product, that one you keep it for us. We shall collect later. Just store it for us. And we bought it. And then we give you another quantity to compensate you. So he wouldn't buy more. It will just stay there until it goes stale.
Do you think the government should have fought for Softa? Do you think they should have protected Softa?
The government should have protected Softa. If it meant putting money into Softa to continue operating, they should have done it, and they should do it because they use taxpayers' money to keep a local industry going. And local industry is developing those 10,000 workers. Those workers are supporting, they are getting their pocket strength, purchasing power from Softa. That purchasing power is supporting the industry.
Hello and welcome to another episode of LNS. My name is Lynn Ngugi and I am so happy that you get to join us because today we have an incredible guest for you. And I know majority of you are familiar with that beautiful drink that we loved, Softa. And one of the things that we were so proud of was that this is one of our own. So what happened? People say that running business in Kenya is hard. My guest today had employed almost 10,000 people, and to see a company that catered for Kenyan needs no longer exist honestly breaks my heart. Today he's going to talk to us about the cost of running a business in Kenya as a Kenyan, what challenges are there, and I'm really interested in his inspirations and aspirations because, as you know, he has this beautiful book. I have it here, The Trailblazer, Breaking Through in Kenya, and it says a damning expose of the worlds of business and politics in Kenya. And I've always said this is not an ad. When I vouch for Kenyan authors, no one has actually paid me to do so. And you know, we've had great conversations. We had Mordecai and Baria Wambaria here on the big conservation lie, and now we have this book and other books by Kenyan authors that I believe we should be able to read and grasp that knowledge that is in there. And as I say, you can always check these books out at Nuria. Nuria is my bookstore of choice. I really love them, so you can always go and check out these books. And I believe just by getting that little knowledge, we are able to continue rebuilding our lives one story at a time. Before I let my guest introduce himself, of course, I want to say thank you to you guys for being incredible supporters of our work. Thank you so much for getting us to 1 million subscribers. We do not take that for granted. And of course, the wonderful team that puts this work together. I've said often, you get to see me in front of the camera, but it takes an entire team to put this work together. So shukran sana. And now, of course, without further ado, please allow me to let my guest today introduce himself. Sir, how are you?
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
My name is Peter Kuguru. And I am a businessman. I operate from my office in the industrial area on Enterprise Road for many years. I've been in that business and other businesses in the industrial area, say from 1973, technically from 1973, with breaks in between. But right now, that's what I am. I also do a bit of farming in Nyeri. I'm from Nyeri originally.
Yes.
I have been in politics, mostly party politics, because when I was during the single party era, I was in Kanu, and I rose to the position of national organizing secretary in late 1990s. But I've also been in other parties as well. I was at one time national commissioner for ODM elections. But I've done other things. Right now I'm out of politics.
Yes.
I'm basically in industry, but not manufacturing. Most of the time I'm in real estate now.
So now you are in real estate.
I'm in real estate.
And you said you are not in politics, but what are your thoughts on the politics of the day? What are your thoughts on what's happening in our country right now?
I'm still an active observer of the transformation in politics in Kenya. I'm observing. I'm also part of it, because when you're in an atmosphere where things are changing and happening, you're part of them. So I'm still part of the national politics. It's only that I'm not an active. I'm not offering myself for elective position anymore. I'm retired in politics, but I'm still actively involved in discussing politics and observing where we're going, where we're heading, look at what's happening. I think that the politics we are in is it's healthy, because it's a changing climate, not only in Kenya but internationally. It's a global. This is a global atmosphere, a global climate affecting everyone everywhere in a similar way or in a directional way. Whatever is happening here is happening elsewhere, anywhere, somewhere else, and it's influenced by global activities like media, the internet, the modern technology. All these are affecting our politics, just like affecting other countries. The only issue in Kenya that's different maybe from many countries that held us back, which I'm not happy with, and I don't think anybody in Kenya is happy with except those benefiting, is corruption. Corruption is undoing of Kenya's growth, Kenya's industry, Kenya's economy. That is our undoing. And I don't know, and I don't even think anyone in Kenya knows how to turn it around, how to stop it, how to prevent it, how to remove it. I do not think that anyone has got a medicine and got a solution. And people are just innocent bystanders observing and participating because of lack of options. If the control of corruption in Kenya and theft of public funds, Kenya would be a developed nation today. People are talking about issue taxes. From where I come from my mindset, tax, even overtaxing, is always good if it can be managed. Taxing is not an issue. Taxing is taxing is a stimulant of the economy. So if tax was taxed, and if that tax was used and managed, that tax can create an enabling atmosphere for growth, and it can regenerate enough returns for the people paying taxes so that they don't feel it. The problem in Kenya is that the tax goes into a bottomless hole, so the people who pay taxes are drained without ability to make a return and without ability to benefit from such a tax. So tax is not the bad thing. It's corruption that's the bad thing. Yeah.
Corruption.
And the theft of, there are two things about people misunderstand. One is corruption and the other one is theft of public money. These are defined separately, differently, because when you go to a government office and you want services done, and a government officer is not doing the service, and he charges you an illegal fee for doing that service, that is corruption. The guy is corrupt. He does not want to. If you go to immigration, you want your passport. He is saying, give me 2,000 bob to get your passport. You go to the airport, you want to be passed by customs. You, instead of paying the 50,000 bob actual custom tax, you're giving him 5,000 bob. He's letting you go through. Policeman stops a matatu, every matatu. He picks 50 bob from every matatu. Otherwise, that matatu will be given a ticket. This is corruption. That's not theft. But when a man sits in a government office and diverts government tax money, because all money in a government tax, he diverts government revenue to his personal use or to his friend's use, he's stealing public money. That's not it. People are not corrupting him to steal it. He is stealing it. When a governor sits, a governor is a center of development of an economy. And therefore, governor has got power over the revenue under his care or her care. And when they steal that revenue, they prevent growth within a county. And that is stealing public money. That's not corruption, that's stealing, theft. If the two, theft of public money and corruption, were managed and controlled, Kenya could not have been where we are. Every young man would have a job. And they would not be looking for it. We would be importing labor. All our people would be employed, and now we would be importing labor from nearby countries. We've been bringing Tanzanian, Ugandan, Ethiopians, Rwandans, even Europeans, even Koreans, even Americans. They will be coming here to look for work because we will grow. Look at Dubai now. Dubai grew so fast and so strong that now all people in Dubai, of Dubai origin, who want to work because jobs are available. Now they've brought in Pakistanis, Indians, Singaporeans, Koreans, Africans. Look at the number of Kenyans working in Dubai because the economy can handle. And they can now they require to import labor instead of importing. Of course, they're importing services also. They're also importing goods because they're not manufacturing everything. That is an entrepot. There is a pass, is a where goods pass and are traded. So we need to be like that, and we could have been like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We could. We could have, because I'm looking at you, right?
Yes.
20 years of that drink, Softa, right?
Yes.
People loved it.
Yes.
I know because I did, right? Yes. Almost 10,000 people who are directly benefiting from that company, right?
Yes.
And after 20 years, all you have to say is, we could have.
We could have.
We could have. Yes. And that's very sad, you know. Yes. That is actually very sad because right now, I don't know why it shouldn't be one of the biggest companies owned by a Kenyan for Kenyans. So I want you to walk us through the journey of Softa. Yes. Because I know that's what many people keep asking, what happened to Softa? But before you walk us through the journey, could you touch on a bit of you growing up so we get to understand where did this determination, where did this confidence, where did this, positivity also to run a whole company come from? What were your inspirations?
My growth, I was born in Nyeri. My mother has my mother is my stimulus or stimulant for my life and my aspiration and my ambitions, because she brought me up with that kind of intention to lead me into the world. My mother was a nurse. She was a nurse in the hospital and a trainer. But later on, when with my father was a doctor, level of the doctors of those age, at that time, because my father was a hospital assistant. They were called hospital assistants. But for African hospitals then, they were the highest qualified medical staff of the day in those 20s and 30s. So my father did not live so much with the family. It's my mother, and being a nurse, and the fact that she resigned from the hospital to take care of the family and the family farm, now we lived with her. And because she understood things like biology from a hospital, medicines, a bit of technology of the day, those days, medical culture and education generally, and the little technology that was there then. She gave us a background of that a kid requires when he's growing to understand issues about the world and the world around him. So I grew up like that. I went to primary school in Gichagi. Mm-hmm. Of course, we had a farm, we had cows, we had goats. Mm-hmm. We used to take care of them during holidays. My father then, during time of emergency, was detained. So he had to leave the medical hospital, and he was taken away from the hospital at night by the Biraro, by the military of the day, who they were called KAR, Kenyan African Rifles. So he was taken to detention in 1953. So that was my first disconnect with him now, complete disconnect. Because when he went, we never knew he would come back. So my mother now led us through the emergency time until my father was released in 1958. Then we went through a traumatic life. Here comes a man, we were now young teenagers, here comes a man from detention, having suffered, having been withdrawn from his own way of wanting to have lived, and now he wanted to recover those years. So my father now was a slave driver of the family and the people around him, because he worked very hard. He worked day and night. He could not even want us to even sleep. He probably drove us to the extreme. All the children, all the family members, all the workers around him, he employed several of them, and that got us going. Strong discipline and strong management and strong labor portion that we had to do. So he'd come and tell us, if you're digging, if I'm giving you a piece of land to dig, if it's 1 acre, I'll give you up from here to there, and unless you finish, you can't go home. You can't go to the house. You got to work. So you'd work from, say, 5 a.m. or even before until maybe 9 p.m. or even after. Sometimes when you were picking coffee, and we had my father built his own coffee mill. So we used to mill our own coffee, and we pick a whole day and then mill it a whole night. And then go to bed at 5. And by 7 we're up.
1 hour.
So those years between 58 and when I went to high school in 63, they were very, very hard. A few years, but very, very hard years. And that's formative years of hard work. When I went to high school in Kagumo, we continued because we had to go home during the holidays, like that. Then when I finished, by the way, I wrote my first book when I was in high school.
No way.
Yes. It's called Tales of Wamugumo. It's also at Nuria.
Yes.
So I woke up, I started writing my book when I was in Form 3. And I finished, it was published when I was in Form 4.
Form 4.
I was paid enough. I bought a motorbike. So when I was in high school, I had a motorbike. When I was in Form 5, I had a motorbike.
Yes.
My principal used to joke that I was richer than the teachers.
Yeah, really?
Teachers had a bicycle and a motorbike.
You was.
So I bought my motorbike at that time, in 1966, when I went to my Form 5 year in Kenyatta.
Yes.
And then I finished in 66. In Form 5, I didn't want to continue Form 6. I joined Kenya Power. I was employed by Kenya Power in internal audit. And I worked for them for 6 months. And I tell you, the amount of knowledge I learned that time as an internal auditor and how to run a company. That company was not too big then.
Yes.
In 1966. It was a company we used to cover as an internal auditor, going from station to station, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, Eldoret, Meru, Embu, Mombasa. We used to cover them in 2 weeks, all of them. And we used to do internal audit, thorough internal audit.
Yes.
And making company routines and cultures. That time, Lynn, our routine and culture was that if a manager had power failure and was not rectified in 15 minutes, he had to write an explanation.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now we are going for a whole day.
Yeah. If a power failed for 15 minutes and didn't come back, the manager was either interdicted or he had to explain why he could not get it back.
That's Kenya Power.
That's Kenya Power.
Hey.
I see these people in Kenya Power and I tell them how we worked and how we controlled managers and how we controlled staff, how we controlled money. Because internal auditor controls everything. We used to count kingi. We used to count polls and we used to know where each and every poll was. Besides, we used to count nuts in a workshop. And we used to know where each and every nut was. We used to go to cash office and count the money and check your books and make sure we used to see where every cent had been banked. It was a smaller company then, but the amount of learning someone like me was grounded on was strong. It helped me a lot. So then my father said I had to go to Form 5, so I went. And Form 5, I went 6 months late. I had to work hard to catch up. I caught up. I did my A-levels. And then I joined KCC. For 2 years, I worked for them because they wanted to train me to be their MD. And they said that for me to be, I had to learn everything A to Z about milk. So they said I had to train as a trainee, technician trainee for 2 years with them, and then took me to university and study about dairy, science, and technology. Wow. And that's what I did. I worked for them here in Kenya, in nearly all their factories in Nakuru, Naivasha. I stayed in Naivasha for a long time because I had to do the central lab where we used to analyze products from all the other factories.
Yes.
Nakuru, Kiganjo had just been built. I worked in Eldoret. I worked in several factories, and again that exposed me to Kenya. Yes. Through that way. First, originally from Kenya Power, now with KCC again, huge exposure. Then I went to New Zealand for my university degree, which New Zealand at that time, even today, it was a leading source of technology for dairying. There are because the KCC researched to see which was the best world university to train someone to be what they wanted me to be. So they chose that university. They sent me there. I was there for 4.5 years, and I came back here in 1973. 1973, they didn't have a job for me. Because
really?
They didn't have a job for me. Because even the company had transformed. See, when I went, KCC was owned by whites, colonialists, and they were looking for an African to take over. But the company transformed faster than they planned. So by that time, they had an African managing director running the company already. So when I came back, there was no job for me. So I hung on around with them for about a few months, and I got a job with House of Manji as a production manager. And I worked with them for 3 years. And then we were recruited by the Kenyan government. They were looking for dream people who are technically qualified in various fields to start up the Kenya Bureau of Standards. Because the Kenya Bureau of Standards was not then there. So I was one of the people hired as a deputy director and in charge of food and technology within the Bureau and Agricultural Sciences. So I headed the deputy, I was the deputy of the boss, and I headed the Department of Food and Agriculture within the Kenya Bureau of Standard. And I'm happy to see the way they have transformed, because we started it, we did all the foundation of the Kenya Bureau of Standards, started the complex, set up the original standards, set up the way we wanted to go 20 years later, and then we got it going, and I'm happy it survived. So then I started my business when I was now living in Kenya Bureau of Standards. That's when I started manufacturing. I went to manufacturing. I had several lines in potato crisp lines. I had noodles. That time they used to be famous. They were called Kuguru noodles.
I saw that.
People of the old days used to love Kuguru noodles. Then I went in noodles for several years, and then I went into bakery.
Yeah.
I was probably number 2, number 3 biggest bakery in Kenya. So I ran a bakery for another 4 or 5 years, supplying all the supermarket, all the outlets, including Kenya Airways, everybody. My bread was well known, my cakes, my confectionaries. Then I went into tourism business. First of all, I started a restaurant business, Chinese restaurant. So I started a China Garden restaurant that I ran for 6 years. And then I went to, that exposed me now to hospitality industry. So I bought a hotel, tourist hotel. And then I went into tourist business for a while. I had a few minibuses. I tried that industry. It didn't work too well for me, but also taught me some knowledge of this country, more knowledge. Then I stopped. I sold out my tourist business and I got out. Unfortunately, I went into politics. That's when I went politics. I should not have done, because I'm a technical person. I'm not a politician. I'm a professional in my own lines. So politics was not a thing for me to do, because politics, I don't want to say it, but again, politics, you don't have to even to have gone to school to do the type of politics we do in Kenya.
Oh, no.
The type of politics we do in Kenya
does not require education.
It does not require education, because it is a politics almost without ethics. People do what they think benefits them personally and not a community. Most of politicians in this country are not there for the community. Most of them. Not all of them. Most of them. Maybe towards 50% are there for personal benefit. They're not there to drive the country to a better place. They're there to drive them to drive their personal benefit to better themselves. I may be wrong, but that's how I see.
But I think you are right.
That's how I see most politicians. They are not elected. They don't go through for elective positions with a mandate and insight to develop the economy and to better the people they live with. The minute they are in, it's for themselves. And I've seen educated people, engineers, doctors, lawyers, they go into politics, but when they're in the politics, it's about themselves. You look at these political, even committees, they go to the parliamentary committee, they go to debate a case, like we hear about Mwangaza or another one. But when you go there to debate about a case as a committee, they are telling whoever is concerned, you pay so we can decide to favor you. See, most of these committees are doing that. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So I didn't think I was right. I had good intentions and good motives, and there's something I wanted to do for my economy, but when I was there, I found it was not happening. So I went back in 1992. I went back into industry, and I started. I bought Kibuku. I bought Shibuku. Shibuku was owned by a company then called Rono, manufacturing African beer, unga beer, chakula kinywaji type of beer. a South African-based formula. In South Africa, they call it mukoboti.
Yes, mkomboti.
Yeah, mukoboti. And in Zambia, they call it shibuku. This shibuku came from Zambia to Kenya. So I bought that company, which was suffering then. And when I expanded that company a lot, it grew to tremendous level and became a national problem because it became too big. And the politics of the day did not need to accept. Politics of the day and the fact that we had a bigger brewery, which I'm not going to mention them by name because they are multinational.
Yes.
And many members in the government being owners indirectly of shares because of public company. And I was almost sending them to bankruptcy by growth of shibuku. Shibuku grew. That had a beer called sorghum beer, which had a clear beer, and an opaque beer, which was a unga beer. I had two beers. And they grew to frightening levels. I was manufacturing 30,000 liters a day. 30,000 liters a day of sorghum. So that was okay. I built a strong economic base for my company, but reached to a level where it became politically and even socially a because there was a strong campaign against it, both even in Parliament. It was debated in Parliament. They said they are banning it from Parliament. They got the ministers to ban it. The church was against it. People who are not into drinking were against people who are drinking it. So we closed it. My family decided we don't want to work against such a social negative product because it was socially negative because people were fighting it. So we got out.
But as people are fighting it, the other multinational companies
that are financing. They were financing the war. It's not one of these spontaneous wars. Of course, we're being financed by the opposition to get me out because multinationals, that's how they work. They finance outsiders to fight their battles. So, okay, we got out, and that is when we started Softa. We transformed from a brewing industry to soft drink industry. Softa started strong because we had a strong base. We knew the industry. We knew what to do. I'm technically qualified. I'm a professional in food industry. So I got all my formulations right, my raw materials right, my marketing ideas right. So the way Softa started, after I started manufacturing, we started going against the market of the multinational directly, through supermarket, through restaurants, through groceries, through those marketing chain, the established value chain. So that didn't work out for us because we were fighting in a battle in a market that was established for somebody else by somebody else who was ahead, and we could not win that battle because they had very many ways of preventing us and blocking us, breaking our bottles, buying out agents. I would go, for example, I would come here near you here, just here in a big hotel next to you here, but let's not mention the name.
Yes.
I would sell 150 cases of Softa. And the multinational would come and tell them, we are buying it from you. All lot, it belongs to us. We pay you cash and we give
us.
No. We pay you cash for it, keep it under the shelf.
Don't sell it.
And then we supply you equivalent of our product. And you sell our product, that one you keep it for us. We shall collect later. Just store it for us. And we bought it. And then we give you another quantity to compensate you. So he wouldn't buy more. You just stay there until you go stale. So that battle was wonderful, powerful. It also taught me a lot, but it taught me how to escape from a grip of that highness, because multinationals are highness. They have no mercy.
Can I ask a question? Because by the time this is happening, Softa has conquered 10% of carbonated drinks in the country. And 10% is huge.
Yeah.
You are everywhere. You know, you are in different places
Yes.
and you are conquering the market, right?
Yeah.
These multinationals have started feeling you are a threat.
Yes.
But here you say, damning of the worlds of business and politics in Kenya. I want to put a correlation here. What is the connection between now these multinationals and our politicians? Because for them to be able to do things that are so powerful, does it mean they are being backed up by our politicians?
What it means is a multinational company is not a building, is not a road, is not an airplane. It's people. A multinational company is humans. When we started Softa, my son, who is a highly qualified person and who was one of my partners, he came and told me, "Dad, we are fighting against a multinational, and you are sitting behind that desk as a CEO. Let me tell you, behind this multinational, there's someone like you sitting behind a desk. So it's the two of you. It's not about a desk or the shops. It's a human being. So the multinational, what they have done in this country, they come through people. So their local interests are owned by local people. So most of them, can I mention some of the Kenyan brewers, because I'm not talking about them right now.
Yes.
Kenya Brewery is owned by Diageo, which is an international multinational. But if you go to Murang'a, for example, the distributor of Kenyan National Brewery's product, or Kenyan Brewery, is probably a very rich, wealthy person. I don't know who it is, probably a billionaire, and he's prepared to protect that industry because that's what he's surviving on. If you come to Nairobi, the distributor of this product is probably a shareholder and is prepared to protect that industry. If you go to Kisumu, so we're dealing with local people. A multinational is just a name, but you're dealing with local people, established and most of them very powerful, decision makers. So even with my Softa, we were not dealing with a multinational building. We were dealing with people. And if you look at, say, that company in Nyeri, it's owned by, they've got a bottling company in Nyeri, but the shareholders are Nyeri people. They've got a bottling company in Eldoret. The shareholders are Eldoret people. They've got a multinational, they've got a bottling company in Nakuru and Mombasa, all of the local people. So we are fighting those local people. You understand? So we're not fighting the guy in America. These people are financed by, because when we started Softa, even before we got a 10% market share, the minute we announced we are building a soft drink company, they already formed a paper to study us and to prevent us from entering the market. Preventing us from entering the market before we enter the market.
In your own country?
In our own country. So we managed to enter the market because we were unstoppable. And we got a lot of support from the people. Kenyans. Oh, there's people, supermarkets were calling me, bring your product here. These guys have been so proud, they could not give us even breathing space. Bring your product, we shall give you free shelf. So I tell you, by the time, within 3 months, we were everywhere. We were everywhere. Before even they started forming people to break our bottles and do what the other things they were doing, we were almost everywhere. We were producing 24 hours, non-stop. We were full capacity. But when the battle became too hard on a shadow market, we created our own market, which was unmatchable. That's how we got to employ about 10,000 people. Let me tell you how. In a factory alone, we were employing about 400 people. In the factory alone. We had about 50 vehicles. And each vehicle had a driver and loader and salesman. So that's another 200 people on the road. Distributed the product. But what gave us the strength of employing people is the containers. So we hatched a way. Of course, my son had started marketing and he knew what to do. We hatched a way internally that if we could, because distributors were being bought and outlets were being bought, if we put a container as a depot, and every container we employ a manager, because we were not private owned, we were still owned by a company. If we employ a manager in that depot, and then an assistant to help him take a product to shops from a depot, and then we got push carts, and we put 10 push carts per container. That is 2 plus 10, 12 people per container. And we had 1,000 containers. How much does that? That's 10,000 people straight on a market working for Softa. And what we told these pushcart guys, we pay you a salary on condition you are able to sell 3 crates per day. Only 3 crates, 72 bottles. So you go in a corner, position himself in a corner, and sell to school children, sell to homes, 10 bottles. I mean,
3 crates.
3 crates, 72 bottles. And that's what they sold. That was enough income. That was huge income for us. Because each container with 10 people, they were selling 30 crates per day, directly to the consumer, without taking a bottle. And then, of course, we had the one person stationed in the container.
Yes.
We used to take to shops. That was slow business. But these 10 guys, they did a marvelous business. That one we could not the multinational could not be able to manage. We could not manage that.
So as they are destroying your billboards, they are breaking your
of course, that's the channel market they were destroying. They were preventing us from the channel market as hard as they can. The fridges was cut off. They were spoiled in a restaurant. That was an expensive battle.
Are you airing your grievances? Are you airing these grievances now to the party concerned? Are you saying this is an unfair trade competition right here? Are you saying something?
Yeah. That is unfair trade. It's controlled in Kenya by law. We have got Unfair Trade and Monopolies Act. But when you go to the people who manage this government enforcement, you're talking to people in a blind eye because maybe they're compromised. They don't want to get involved. So the government has not helped local industry to survive and exist. So we fought a battle on our own for many years. We had started in 1987, and 2007 we closed down. That's an unfortunate thing. We closed down for several reasons. Number one, it was the unfair trade practices against multinationals, which was the biggest battle we were fighting at a very expensive cost. Continuous. That was a continuous non-stop battle. Then there was a battle of politics also, because also politically many of the people supporting the multinational were not giving us mileage to grow. Then, of course, there was post-election violence. Post-election violence was expensive to us because you remember that story about 41 plus 1?
Yes.
Whenever we had containers like Kibra and other places where we were seeing like it was Kikuyu-owned business, those were destroyed. So we had a lot of damage. Our shops were burnt in Eldoret, in Kisumu, Nakuru. Our outlets, we had a lot of, we lost a lot of business from post-violence because they seemed to be targeting industry owned by a community. That was bad. But the final straw was it was the Kibaki government. Kibaki government did a lot of good things and they are praised a lot for improving the economy, which they did. They transformed the economy of this country, no doubt. But one of the policies that they had is that they didn't want to manage an official trade, informal businesses. So informal businesses were like kiosks. So all kiosk business, all people selling mituba, even mituba are affected, even people selling mariraisi, all those guys were affected, but mostly they removed the kiosk from roadside kiosk. They were being created. They wanted to support registered licensed businesses. So our containers were affected. Imagine we had almost 1,000 containers. One container costs about 500,000 shillings, 500,000 shillings. So with 1,000 containers, you can see I've invested more than 50 million shillings. Yeah. So with that being affected and removing now the people from the street, then the government officials, including city council, coming to cut containers to remove them from the street. That was probably the final straw. So we said, we have no business being in business in this country because it's a government who is not creating the conducive atmosphere for survival of industry. So we closed down. And then we went strongly into milling, business, because we were still manufacturing, and other manufacturing lines that were not related to Softa. We went to trade into juices and a few other lines. But eventually, as the time was going on for me, because I'm not getting any younger, running full-time business means a lot of commitment, because yes, you can employ qualified people, but it still require a lot of time to manage them. Even qualified people need to refer to someone. So we thought it was much easier and more economic sense to go into real estate business. So now we're in real estate. That's how we survive. That's our business history. And that's how we are come. But we're still going.
He's strong. We
are not giving up. And when you're a businessman and an industrialist, you keep going as long as you're able to go. Never give up. Yeah.
I think my memories for the push carts in Uhuru Park.
Yeah.
Full of the babitos.
Uhuru Park, the battles we had there with the city council. Supporting the multinational.
Yes.
They didn't want, we had to go there by force because of public demand. But against a lot of problems against multinational. But we went there, Jamhuri Park during the showground. We had made a strong presence.
Yeah.
We were everywhere, yeah. With a good business.
Yes,
we are happy we did that.
And very affordable also. It was, why do you think a lot of people received it the way they did?
That time the multinational were selling their soda at 15 bob, and we decided to sell ours through marketing gimmick.
Yes.
We decided to increase the price to 20. So we increased the price to 20. So when they were selling at 15, we were selling at 20.
How?
Because for every bottle at 20, we give you one free.
So it's 10 bob.
So technically to 10 bob. That means we are moving double the volume.
Yes.
And that was hurting the multinational because everybody was coming to us.
Buy one, get one.
Buy one, get one.
Because my memory was when it was costing 10 bob. So I'm like, 20? No, yes, 10.
Our advert was 20. Even the multinational got shocked. How can these guys be increasing the price when they were expecting them to reduce? Then, because we made an advert, we're going for 20 bob. We're not competing with these guys at 15. We're going for 20 bob. And they said, okay, let them come.
But buy one?
But when we got in, we said, the BOGO. You buy one, get one.
So you're having 2 for 20?
We're having 2 for 20.
Oh man, those were good days. Those were really good days,
I tell you, that campaign was strong. It was well supported, but the public supported it across the country. We were happy. God blessed us. We never regret. Whatever we have done, whether we went on or closed, we don't regret. we learn something and we built on that to do something else. Whatever we are doing, we built on our past.
Do you miss it? Do you still have some cases around that you look at? Do you have things that remind you?
Now the world has changed. The economy has changed. The global technology has changed. Now the drinking bottles are more or less, they are still there, but more or less they are moribund. They are things of the past. They are fossils, drinking bottles, and they'll come to an end over time. Now we are in PET. The plastic is called PET bottle, the clear bottle. Those ones, you take home. They are more convenient. You take them to wedding, you take them home. A company does not have to employ people with cleaning. You don't have cleaning machines. Technology has changed. So now, even if I went back into soft drink now, I would never go back to bottle. It's a new direction now, new dispensation. So we'll go in PET. A complete standalone different business. But you can if you want to.
Have you stored some bottles for yourself to remind you?
Yeah. We still have a lot of bottles in the factory.
Let's touch on the mental effect this can have on a business owner, because I'm seeing a lot of stories where people have decided to close down their businesses, even here in Kenya. How did you deal with that mentally? How did it affect you, and how did you cope?
We have never closed down a business without a plan. It's a transitional. It's not a one day off event. It's a transitional event. As we are going to something else, we're shutting down something else. So we didn't have a problem to transition into other things. So, like when we were in noodles, in my first big business, we transitioned slowly into bakery, and we saw bakery business had a bigger return, economic return, and the market was bigger. So we went bigger in the economy, into bakery and confectionaries. But in 1978, there was a huge shortage of wheat globally, not only Kenya. So there was rationing. That time I was chairman of Kenya Bakers Association. So I was rationing the wheat myself because it was coming through our association. So from 78 to 83, during the time of that strife of lack of wheat, many bakeries closed down, others became bigger because they took opportunity of the vacuum. We transitioned to close down, and I went into hotel business. That's when I started Chinese restaurant, and I bought a tourist hotel. Because there was survival was hard without raw materials. So we transitioned into that. And then when we went into hotel business, into tourist business, when I was in tourist business, my father was in politics. So I started going, because my hotel was in Karatina, I started getting involved in local politics, supporting my father. And that drove me into politics. That's what drove me into politics. So we transitioned into politics. And by the time I sold my tourist business, I was already in politics now. Then I was still in politics when I decided to go back into industry, in manufacturing in 92. So I took a break and went into industry, and that's when we did Kibuku. But when my father passed on in 1997, a vacuum now arose when people were requested if I could come and step in the shoes of my father, because my father just left politics. He was still active in politics, he just passed on. And then I went there and I was more or less donated the position he was holding. So I continued that way until say, in the 20s. When Kanu lost in 2002, I was already in national politics that time. I was a national organizer for Kanu. So I transitioned, and then when we lost, Kanu was finished, technically from Kenya Face. It remained in some areas, but like in my home in Nyeri, it was weakened too much. We could not continue with that. So we joined other active national parties, and so on and so on. So we transitioned. When I went back in now to continue in manufacturing soda, because my family was running at that time. When I joined my family back in 2004, we continued and we soldiered on until 2007. And when we tried to close down 2007, we already transitioned into other things. Closed down slowly. We started closing down slowly from 2004 up to 2007.
So make sure you have a smooth transition. Don't just wake up one day and decide.
We are struggling, and the struggle is not paying off. So we are saying, shall we continue or shall we not? And then I'm building more into real estate and saying, maybe they're not doing well, so let me put my money somewhere else. So we are transitioning, and then we reach an edge where we say, there's no point of doing this because the amount of money you're putting in is more than what you're getting out. So there is no sense. There's no economic sense in continuing putting money when you're not getting enough return.
So you are working in the business, not on the business. All right, that's good.
Yes.
Let me ask you, for any person, entrepreneur that is watching, right? What would you say have been your 3 key things to run in a successful business? 3.
I would say that an entrepreneur, once he enters the industry of manufacturing, it's because entrepreneurs do all sorts of things, the internet, they're into shops, they're into hotels. But when an entrepreneur enters the business of manufacturing industry, they need to plan changes within 5 years. Because industry is changing and transforming, and technology is affecting the industry, and science is changing the way things are done. So unless someone is prepared to reinvent himself every 5 years, like all the multinationals are doing it, they don't stay static like Kenyan breweries, like them, because they are well known here. It's not the same way it used to be. Today they are different animal. They are doing things differently, even in managing, even manufacturing, even the way they handle product. It's not the way they used to do it in nowadays. They are bringing in, introducing industrial changes. Like we say, those people who refuse to change them. A good example is like, which we look in the industry, is Kodak. Kodak was the biggest company into film industry. We're making films for photos.
You are paparazzi also.
They used to be the biggest, nobody could change them. Then the technology came and people started manufacturing their own printout things, on instant cameras came, mobile things. But Kodak decided internally that they did not want to kill the business by bringing in, by taking in new technology. As a result, they died. Other people like Samsung and iPhone came and cleared that market. Now you can take your pictures now with your iPhone, and the company could not survive. They closed down. They went bankruptcy. So industry must reinvent itself every 5 years, because that's a lifetime for a product to stay the way it is. A product needs to reorganize itself and bring in new features to be able to survive in the industry. And the consumers also they also love to see new things. And it's everywhere, whether it's in say, home industries. Look at the ironing box that women used to use in 2000. It's not, they're using most modern things today. Look at even the pots they used to cook with.
Consumers love to see
continue
new things.
Making the same Kaluwax pot. Today you're not going to sell them.
Consumers want to see new things.
They're changing with the market. Advertising is very, very powerful. So consumers know what's happening by looking at advertising. So they know what's happening.
And also the third one, last one.
If you want to run a successful business, you need to know what you do, what you're doing. And once you know what you want to do and what you're doing, and you got backup technology and science and staffing and all that human resource, it's hard work. You cannot run a business without hard work. You know your business here.
Yes.
You know you can run a business without putting all what you have internally into that business. Yeah, you must put your best that you can in order to achieve more above competition. Yeah, you must sustain the competition.
You must sustain.
Sustainable, continuable competition advantage.
I love
sustainable competitive advantage. You must be able to compete and sustain survival.
Do you think the environment for operating a business as a citizen is fair? And if not, what can be done to make it fair?
Business in Kenya or in any country is not monolithic. There is wide approach. So there are many kind of businesses people are still doing today and surviving.
Yes.
And there are others that require the government to give enabling regulation. Without enabling regulation, you're not going to do so well. But coming back to where we started, if government overtaxed people and the tax was not plowed back to support the industry will not survive. Because industry manufactures consumer goods to be consumed by people. If people have no money in their pocket to be able to purchase those products, the industry is not going to survive. Industry survive on turnover to keep the prices down. If they cannot be able to increase the turnover, they cannot be able to sell at a good price. They will have to increase the price to make the same survival money. So if the government does not plow back the tax so that the consumer can have purchasing power, industry don't go survive. Yeah, no, it's not going to survive. We have to rely on foreign industry. And foreign industry, we are exporting labor because labor is being used in those countries where goods are coming from, and we are supporting those labor. We are exporting not our local employees. We are supporting labor of another country to manufacture goods to sell here. That means our industry will never grow. So the government must deliberately plow in the money to improve the purchasing power of the community or the masses. Yeah, then the industry can survive.
Yes. Do you think the government should have fought for Softa? Do you think they should have protected Softa?
The government should have protected Softa. Softa is local industries and local. Look at Uchumi, for example. Uchumi was homemade outlet. Of course, there are many others now coming, Quick Mart, all sorts of things are there. But Uchumi was a local image product. Softa was a local image product. Government should have gone out of the way even to finance. If government is pushing money into KQ to continue flying, if it meant putting money into Softa to continue operating, they should have done it, and they should do it because they use taxpayers' money to keep a local industry going. And local industry is developing those 10,000 workers. Those workers are supporting, they are getting their pocket strength, purchasing power from Softa. That purchasing power is supporting the industry. The person who lives next to a butchery, he's buying meat from that butchery, he's growing that butchery. The guy lives next to a grocery, he's supporting that grocery. He's bringing spillover effect in the industry. So if the government does not support local industries, they are not going to support the purchasing power of the consumer. And if the purchasing power of the consumer doesn't come up, they are not going to give stimulus effect to the other small economic activities around them. They are not going to be able to buy charcoal. And a charcoal man is an important man to support the economy. So it looks more Looks more, the guy in the Dukawara there looks more, but it's very important for the economy. And it cannot support him if the consumer have no money. So that's why the government has to support local industry to survive and stay afloat. And I'm not saying they should put money into bad institutions that will not be able to survive and make ends meet. I think they need to study the kind of industries that can bring backlash effect to the economy, to grow it, because you see you can hit that industry and in effect you're growing all the other backup industries. Yeah, they should have supported it because it was a big business. Softa was not a small business.
No, it was not.
A business supporting 10,000 people every day is not a small business in any country. Not only in Kenya. See, if government is talking about this kazi kwa vijana, what are they doing? They're giving money to boys to go and dig trenches which don't support anyone. But if, in the meantime, that money they're putting in boys' pocket is giving them purchasing power to support the economy around them. It's good. But then they're putting money, tax money, into those boys. That tax money should be put in industry to support those boys so that boys can stay permanently employed. Lynn, thank you so much.
It breaks my heart, but shukran, it breaks my heart because the way you've said 10,000 people, assuming even if everyone was supporting 3 members in their family, that's 30,000.
Yeah.
Then there is that economy around you. Really breaks my heart.
That 10,000 people was only the people in the containers.
Yes.
We had other people. Yeah.
It's all right, but as you've said, we keep pushing on.
Yes.
We keep, reinventing ourselves. Yes. And I've also seen that conversation that our own inventions are not taken seriously by even our own government. And also what breaks my heart, we are proud exporting labor so that our people can go and develop industries of other people, where else we should be able to be doing that here for ourselves. But there is hope. I know there is hope.
There can only be hope if corruption ended. If corruption continues, there's no hope.
There's no period. But I want to wind up. I really thank you for coming.
Yes.
And I know actually we've not touched on almost everything that's here.
Yes.
We've barely, touched on your story.
Yes.
But I would want you to briefly tell us, why did you order this book, Trailblazer? And why did you call it Trailblazer?
Yeah. This book was a public demand because a lot of people, younger people mostly, used to know some of my activities, and used to tell us, everybody I meet, you should write a book. So it was I did this book. Of course, I was interested to put something down, but then public demand caused me to do it faster than I should.
Yeah.
Right now, I want to add on to this book. When I finish my PhD, which I'm doing now, by the end of this year I'll finish, then I'll write another chapter on this book to add, because this book only ends up to 207.
Yes.
When I start writing it. Then I want to write more between 207 and now, another 20 years. Another 20 years chapter.
Good. All the best. All the best. But as we wind up, there's something I ask people on this show. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
The legacy is multifaceted again. There's personal interest, there's family interest, there is a society interest, and there is a community in general interest. I would like to, for my family, I want to leave a strong family with a strong family base. And my family is doing well, and I'm very proud of them. I'm very happy with them. I have no complaint whatsoever. God's been good to us. I've 9 kids, and 9 grandkids, and that's a strong legacy to start with. You don't need anything else.
Yes.
With that kind of background, I think you're a happy person to transition.
Yes.
Then of course there is the business compliment that I would like to look at where I've been, and I say that I would like to see people come out at early age, even coming from university, and invest into some kind of industrial venture. Industry is a strong supporter of an economy in any country, and I would like, not necessarily for my own legacy, but it would be a wish that I would like to do. Finally, cutting because of time, I'm doing a PhD now. Yes. I told you. I've done it for the last 7 years because I started before COVID. And now I'm finishing, I hope to pass, God willing, by the end of this year. My PhD thesis is also a little on industry, but mostly on coffee industries. It's about how to innovate within the coffee industry to influence performance for coffee, both for farming, for the industry in between, and even for exporting and handling. That if I pass, I will want to sell that concept to the government, and that concept will change if we accepted the coffee industry, the way we know it, the way we see it, the way we look at it, and even the way it will benefit the farmers and the people on a ground level. And that will bring in a huge spillover to the export, and look at the foreign currency that can come from coffee. The spillover effect, if we manage that industry properly, it can have a lot of good effect to our economy.
Because it's also a conversation. The coffee industry is a conversation we all need to have. Yes. It's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, we need to go back where we were.
We need to go back.
And it's possible.
Yes.
And that's what I'm writing about.
Yes.
How to reinvent our opportunities on that industry. I used to have a coffee mill. Of course, that's story for another day.
So I should have you back for a coffee conversation. Shukran sana.
Let me pass fast.
And I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
I know you will pass. May you pass. Yes, may you pass, you know.
An effort for 2 more weeks.
Yes.
And that will determine the way I'm going.
Yeah. All the very best. I really do appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule just to come spare maybe an hour tops to have this conversation with us. Yes. We've really learned a lot. But I think for me, my take home from you is keep reinventing yourself. And when one thing stops, don't dwell there. Keep going. Yes. Don't dwell there. Don't pity yourself. Just keep going. Keep going, and keep going.
Never give up.
Never give up. Shukran sana. What would be your parting shot or your message to our people?
From the time I came in, I knew that this is a business venture that one need to be proud of. And I'm very happy to see what you're doing. I never knew what I was coming to do.
Yes.
To see. We used to know the old VOK, the on the media outlet in those 90s.
Yeah.
And now we have seen that transformation in the media industry. And we need to see more of you. More of you starting up, more of you growing, and more of you expanding.
Thank you.
So we are proud of what you're doing. I'm so impressed. And I do wish you the best.
Thank you.
To where you're going and where you want to go.
Thank you.
Because you must have a vision where you want to go. Neither you nor in industry is static. Everything is transitional. And you can also decide to go many other ways other than this one. So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And God bless you.
God bless you too. Shukran. Yes. Shall we wind up?
Yes.
Shukran sana, guys. Oh my goodness, what a conversation. I hope all your questions have been answered. I hope you've been motivated. I hope you've been inspired. And as always, really interested in your take home from today's conversation. On the comment section, give me that feedback because it's really important. Let me know what your take home has been. What was that thing that you learned from the show that is really going to help change the way you do things? And Not an ad, but if you can, get this book, guys. Personally, I get all my books from Nuria, so you can either check it at Nuria or you can also check it at your favorite bookstore. But
it's also on Amazon.
It's also on Amazon. Please, 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 if you can. I'm telling you, even me, I know deep down we've covered almost 5% of what is in this book. So please, if you can, get a copy. And also, don't forget to continue sharing our work. It's very important that these conversations reach as many people as possible. Shukran to my amazing team for putting this work together. I don't take you guys for granted. To you watching and making sure that you share our work. And of course, if you're watching this from diaspora and you're wondering how to send money to your loved ones back home, please, you can use TapTap. You know, that's what we do. And check the details on your screen because there is a gift for you if you use my promo code Lynn. And also, if there is anything you can't be able to say on the comment section, you know where to find me, info@lnn.digital. We can connect there. See you. Let me know who else you would love to see on the show. May God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.